Talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Hi, welcome along to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith. Delighted to welcome Elliot Slessor to the programme for his dream team. How are you, Elliot?
I'm good. How's yourself?
Good, mate. Good to have you on. And most of the regular viewers will know you and know your theme music to be this. Yep, Friday night, we replaced the Ian Mearns dad joke with the Elliot Slessor joke of the week, and it's gone down very well. After everyone who tunes into the Amigos loves it and can't wait to see what the latest joke is going to be. Why did you start doing that, Elliot? Because Twitter's such a poisonous place at times. It can be used for good. Did you just want to give everybody a bit of a laugh during the bad times of COVID?
Part of the reason, everyone was just depressed and sick, weren't they? So I started putting a few jokes up to try and make people laugh a little bit more and have a bit of a better time. And they went down well, to be fair. There's not many people didn't like them. And if they don't like them, well, that's up to them. But a lot of people, I got a lot of positive feedback. So I thought, well, I may as well just keep doing them as long as people want them.
Good stuff, mate. But don't stop doing them, because we love them on NUFC Matters, and we'll continue to put them up every Friday night. Now, we've got you here for your dream team. Been dying to do this with you, and because obviously a busy schedule as a professional snooker player, it is a bit difficult to catch you. But we've managed to catch you in a couple of days where you're doing a little bit of training and practicing up in Scotland. So without further ado, let's get into your 11. You're allowed to pick your 11, your substitutes, and your manager. So who's starting off in goal for you, Elliot?
I'm going to go for Shay Given. I think it's literally a given. Obviously, the best keeper for, well, I think everybody's choice would be Shay Given. So reliable, great shot stopper, and a great servant for the club, really.
Yeah, and he had such a wonderful career at Newcastle as well, didn't he? I mean, he played a record amount of games, and had it not been for Newcastle hitting a decline, and I just remember, I think one of his last games was a hammering at home to Liverpool, he probably could have stayed on and until the end of his career, couldn't he?
I think obviously with Man City getting taken over for silly money as well, and they wanted him for silly money. He kind of had to go, really. We were on the decline and they were on the up. So I think it was a no-brainer for his career, really.
Yeah, definitely one of the blue chip players. And I've got to say, probably definitely the most selected keeper in all of the dream teams that we have done so far. And no surprise there. Okay, back four. And who are you going for right back?
Right back, I'm going for Kieran Trippier. I thought basically he's been brilliant since he's been so far, and if he stays without injuries, I think he could be the best right back we've ever had. As I say, I like the way he plays. I like the sort of managerial role he plays. He plays like a manager and a captain, and seems to lead the team. I think he'll be a great captain. He's brilliant. Like, I love him since he's came. I think best signing so far.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of competition at that right back slot over the years. I think Warren Barton's probably the one that stands out the most for a lot of people who do Dream Team. I think with Trippier, I think it's like the first marquee signing of the new era, isn't he? Because he's somebody who's still an England international, but he's clearly got ambitions still to win things in the game, and he's one who clearly believes that the new owners and Eddie Howe's project will lead to silverware.
Definitely, aye. And obviously coming from a team like Atletico Madrid as well, it speaks wonders. Do you know what I mean? He was great there. So I think it was a brilliant signing for Newcastle.
I think what's impressed me the most about him is the way that he continued to be a leader from the sidelines when he got injured. And I remember being down at Burnley on that last day of the season, a meaningless game really for Newcastle, but he was down there. He was on the sidelines. He's shouting instructions, and he's just one of those players who, throughout the relegation battle which we were in, he guided the team from the sidelines, and when he got back in the team and he was back on the pitch, he's just a born leader. He's going to be the catalyst, I think, to great things. And he reminds me so much of, the signings of, the likes of Barry Venison and Paul Bracewell back in the day under Kevin Keegan when he came to Newcastle. Okay, left back, who have you gone for there?
John Beresford.
John Beresford, great stuff. One of the entertainers, of course. Why have you selected him?
I think it was one of the most common picks, really. As I say, it was just a standout, I would say. I think it was quite an easy pick, to be honest.
Yeah, one of the entertainers. I mean, he is somebody who has been probably selected by the majority of people who've come on to do Dream Team, and part of the team, of course, that nearly won the league, Elliot, a little bit before your time.
Yeah, obviously seen all the old videos and stuff like that, and I cry in shame. We never won it, but never mind. Hopefully, still good times to come.
Yeah, hopefully, still good times to come. Okay, two centre halves then. Who's your first one?
I went for Philip Albert and Bobby Moncur.
Okay, Philip Albert, no real reason to question that one, because ultimately he's he's a legend, isn't he? And I guess the goal that stands out for Philip Albert more than any other is that wonderful chip against Manchester United in the 5-0 win.
I was at my christening around that time. I was christened around that time. I think it was just after.
He was at your christening?
He was at me christening. I've got a picture in the house. I'll have to dig it out and send it in to you. I was at me christening. I think he knew one of my uncles or something. And I was at me christening. I'll dig the photo out and send it to you.
Fantastic. That's brilliant stuff. What a story to tell. And you've said Bobby Moncur as well. Of course, the last person to lift a trophy for Newcastle United in 1969, of course, the Old Fairs Cup. Neither of us are old enough to remember Bobby Moncur playing, but I guess the reason you picked him is because of that reason.
Yeah, just a legend as well. Obviously, he's spoke about by all sorts of like my granddad and people like that, and say he was an absolute legend. So he's got to go in there. Okay,
that's your goalkeeper and your back four done in record time. And I've got to be honest, when you sent me through this team, I've seen some teams over the course of this series, and wow, some people struggle to find room for the big names, but you've just gone all out for it. So I'm not sure how you've got them lined up, but let's go with your left side of midfield.
Like I said, in the message, I don't think it really matters where you put these three. I think it's my sort of team, as you'll see, is just basically all out attack, and I think it would work quite well. So my three in the middle are Gaza, Beardsley, and Ginola. I just think it would be absolutely unstoppable. Would just be so attacking, push. There'd be goals galore. I think it would just be easy pickings. So
you've got Gaza in there. I mean, Gaza again, before your time, but I mean, what you've seen of Gaza, the old footage of him, he didn't play at Newcastle for a great deal of time, but he made his name obviously more at Spurs, getting them to the FA Cup final. Obviously got badly injured there, and then made his name, of course, in Italia 1990. But what stands out for you with Gaza?
The goal against Scotland. I just think in my opinion, I think he's the most talented English footballer that's ever played. For sheer talent-wise, I just think he was absolutely unbelievable. Especially when you think about what he was doing as well, going out drinking and this, that, and the other, and still turn up and just playing as if he'd been training every hour under the sun, and he was doing everything but just that talented, he could get away with it.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt for me, Gaza. I mean, I was lucky enough to see him play at Newcastle, and the game that I always mention is the FA Cup game against Crystal Palace, and he dribbled on this pitch. I mean, the pitch back in those days was literally like one of the pitches you'd see on a Sunday morning down the park,
Aye.
and he did like a little shimmy, a little jinx past a couple of defenders, and then just stood straight and hit the ball, which was like a wet caser, straight into the top corner, and it just stops for a second in the stanchion, wobbles a little bit, and then dropped. And it was Newcastle won 1-0, got through to the fifth round of the FA Cup, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful strike. And I remember him playing Blackpool at home as well, and just scoring another sublime goal where he did a little dance after it, and he was one of those players that you as a young fan, which I was at the time. I was only 15, 16 when Gaza broke into the team. Yeah, he was your hero, I had hair then back in those days, and I got my hair cut like Gaza, and, loads of lads up and down the northeast were doing the same. It was just a great time. And even though he left as part of that, Beardsley, Waddle, Gascoigne trio, who, were sold to keep the club afloat and build new stands and stuff like that, you didn't hold any malice towards them because you blamed the club and you blamed the owners. And, that year in 1990, to have Beardsley, Waddle and Gaza all in that 1990 World Cup team that almost brought it home in 1990 was, it was just fantastic. It made you proud to be a Geordie. But, yeah, I can see why you've got Gaza in there, the tears of Turin and all that. And,
I think as well, it's not just what you do, it's the way you do it. And how easy he made it look. Just his talent just shone through. It was just insane what he could do with the football. As I say, after what he was doing on weekends and late at night, it's just absolutely incredible. Like,
speaking of geniuses on the football, you mentioned Peter Beardsley. I mean, this guy is my favourite player of all time in a black and white shirt. The best, literally the best player I have ever seen. And he didn't just play for Newcastle once, he played for Newcastle twice. Currently doing a soccer school now. You can find information out about that at the Peter Beardsley soccerschool.com website. But yeah, Peter Beardsley, why pick him?
He just walked through players as if they were water, didn't he? It was just absolutely ridiculous. Nice guy as well. He's done a couple of the snooker events and stuff. Been to a couple of exhibitions and stuff when I was younger, and I've got a couple of friends that played for the under-23s, and they said he was unbelievable, even at his age now. Just his vision and the way his touch was, it was even as like an older sort of man, the things he could still do with the football was just crazy. Like,
I mean, he's in his early 60s now, Elliot, and John from QTex reports this week where, basically he's telling us how well the soccer school had gone, but just said Peter just could still do a job now, It's just incredible, and I've played alongside him in a couple of charity games, and still got the enthusiasm, still got the skill, and you just never lose it. But those two in there in your midfield three, and the other guy you mentioned was a little bit of je ne sais quoi. David Ginola, and wasn't at Newcastle for a great deal of time, but what an impression this guy made, not just on the men but on the women as well.
I was just about to say, he didn't just do well on the field, did he?
Yeah, what a player though. I mean, I guess again the Manchester United game springs to mind, but I think the goal that we probably all remember from David was the wonderful spin and turn and rifling and the shot into the Gallagher end against Ferencvaros in the European Cup.
As I say, another one for me, like Gaza, it's not just what you do, it's the way you do it. And just that brashness that he had, just that extra little bit of flair. Flair, I think, is the perfect word for him. With the long hair, and he was just a good-looking kid, and he was just brilliant, wasn't he? No other words.
Was. Yeah, part of that entertainers team, Elliot. That was the thing. It was a unique team. I feel very blessed to have seen Kevin Keegan's entertainers, because it was, it was a unique time, and it really did feel as if we were going to win something in that period. So, we didn't. But as you say, let's hope that this new era can see us finally put that trophy drought to rest. Okay, you've got 3 players left in your 11. Give us your first one.
Alan Shearer.
Big Al, number 9. Club record goal scorer, Premier League's leading goal scorer, top goal scorer of all time, England captain as well. I can't even say why have you included him, but yeah, I mean, just God on Tyneside, isn't he? I mean, what a player to have in your 11, and I think most people, in fact, all teams, I think, have selected Alan in some way, shape, or form.
He just has to be in there, doesn't he? Just the greatest goal scorer Newcastle's ever seen. It's as simple as that. And to know as well that when he was younger, he wasn't as talented as everybody else, but he worked harder than everybody else. I seen a podcast he done. I can't even remember who it was with. I think it was on YouTube, to be honest.
Might have been the True Geordie.
It might have been. Rings a bell. It might have been that, actually, to be fair. And to say that he wasn't the most talented when he first started, but to see what he ended up as is just remarkable, really.
Yeah, no, fantastic. A true legend. Okay, I think people are getting a little bit of a feel as to the way Elliot's team's going to go. The next man in that front 3.
Andy Cole.
When he gets the ball, he scores a goal. Andy Cole. And, of course, holds one of the records that Alan Shearer doesn't hold, which, of course, is the most goals in one season at St James's Park. And, again, a unique occasion, which I was lucky enough to be at when, he struck that 41st goal, taking Hughie Gallagher's record. But, yeah, Andy Cole, it was again, a short spell at the club for the youngster. Came out of nowhere, straight out of Bristol and straight to St James's, a relative unknown, an Arsenal reject. And somebody who, just brought goals to Newcastle, Elliot.
I honestly don't think he gets the credit he deserves, to be honest. I really don't. Like, he scored 41 goals in a season. He obviously, everybody always talks about Alan, and obviously they talk about Supermac as the legends and stuff like that. But Andy Cole scored 41 goals in a season, and the record still holds this day. Like, I think he deserves a little bit more respect, really, in my opinion. Like, throughout Tyneside, I don't think he spoke about enough.
I think, sadly, it's because he ended up signing at the time for our biggest rivals, who were Manchester United. And unfortunately for him, he was caught on camera singing a rather derogatory song about Kevin Keegan. Yeah. And I think that sticks in the craw of a lot of Newcastle fans, and certainly did back in those days. I think youngsters, maybe he's looking back, watching videos, DVDs, whatever, of seasons gone by, will no doubt remember Andy Cole fondly in that way, and maybe that will die down. But there's I know just from organising events on Tyneside that the one event I've had to pull in recent years was an evening with Andy Cole, because people just didn't want to come. And when he's been on with other people, people have come, but I just found it very, very sad that we didn't get the support on that one, because I'm the same as you. You let sleeping dogs lie. He was at his club. He was celebrating, a win, and it's just one of them things you put it to bed. But he was a great servant in Newcastle when he was here. So completing your 11, I take it this guy deserves to be knighted.
Les Ferdinand, as I say.
Sir Les.
All out attack, mine. And I nearly went for Supermac, to be honest. But I just thought I'd knock it to Les, to be honest. He was more around my sort of time. I've seen more of Les obviously play. Supermac was a lot more before my time. My granddad had an argument with us. He wanted Supermac in, but I went for Les.
Yeah, Les Ferdinand. I mean, remarkable to think that we had both Sir Les and Alan Shearer playing in the same team, and they scored over 50 goals in a season together. But that was the only season that they played, because ultimately the club decided in their wisdom that they were going to sell Les Ferdinand to Tottenham, because giving him a new contract wasn't the right thing in their mind because of his age. And then lo and behold, Newcastle's luck, turns out that Alan Shearer plays in the pre-season friendly at Everton, gets a bad injury and is out for best part of the season. And Newcastle find themselves with no striker and a young John Dahl Thomason having to do a man's job in a boy's body, and it didn't quite work out for Newcastle that particular season. But yes, Celeste completes the 11. I think most people will expect you to have a pretty packed subs bench with some interesting faces on there. So who's your first substitute?
Where did I go? Yeah, goalkeeper Shaka Hislop.
Shaka Hislop, and I think we've seen some new images of the ground. Certain parts of the ground have been painted, and they've actually gone in with that image of that shirt in there, which I think is absolutely fantastic. That Shaka's wearing. Of course, it was first worn by Pavel Cernacek. But yeah, Shaka Hislop, a good backup to Shea Given then.
Yeah, as I say, a funny one as well, because I like Steve Harper. Done exhibition with Steve Harper when I was a kid. Nearly went with Steve, but I went with Shaka instead.
So your exhibition with Steve Harper, how did that go?
It was good. Michael Owen was supposed to be actually doing it, and Michael Owen, I think his missus was having a kid around that time. I think
it might have been Gemma off Love Island.
Might have been, or something along them sort of lines. He couldn't make it anyway, so Steve Harper, being the gentleman as he always is, stepped in and played instead.
What was the result?
Me and Steve played doubles with. There was me and Steve together, and we played Jimmy and who was the other one? We won anyway, but I can't remember who it was. Who Ronnie's partner was.
Classic.
Was Ronnie or Jimmy? I can't remember if it was Ronnie or Jimmy. One of the two anyway.
Brilliant
memory.
All right, great stuff. Shaka Hislop's on the bench. Who else?
Gary Speed.
Speedo.
Legend, Ronnie.
A real legend, Gary Speed. And I still struggle to comprehend that he is no longer with us, as I do with Pavel and with Czech Teoti. But yeah, Gary Speed, I mean, what a sub to have. Because, I mean, I think when you watch back the old footage of Gary Speed, he was just prolific in the air, wasn't he?
Yeah, as I say, phenomenal player, and massive asset to any team. Just such a shame what obviously happened, and highlights what goes on in the world.
Yeah, very sad. Rest in peace, Gary. Next sub, Elliot.
Johan Kabay, as I say, more my sort of era of play. I thought he was absolutely brilliant, such a talent. So I went for Kabay.
Any memories that stand out? Any particular games that stand out? I can think of one. I think it was Manchester United, and he got the winner at Old Trafford, I think.
Not really. As I say, my memory isn't the greatest. Like, I'm not great for things like that, but I remember him obviously being a great player and very, very talented, and I loved him at the club. Like,
had a good song as well. Don't Sell Kabay, Johan Kabay. Okay, another Frenchman in your lineup is Hatem Ben Arfa in the subs bench.
Yeah, as I say, another one really talented. It was good to see him go. Really, I know he was in and out. In certain ways, he reminds us of St. Maximum. It's like the game comes so easy to him, and they can do so much, but sometimes they just don't show up. It's like sometimes they just can't be bothered. Isn't the right word. It's how would you explain it? The only way I can explain it is basically they're so talented. The game comes so easy. Sometimes they just kind of try and take it all themselves and a little bit greedy. But I just think for that talent alone, that one game they do turn up in 5, they look, well, they're a world beater, aren't they?
Would you say ASM's a little bit like that?
Yeah, I think he's like that. I think they're so talented, similar sort of player. I think the running, the flair, the step overs. It's just a similar. It's a French thing.
Yeah.
Flair of the French. It's a French thing.
It is. It's a French flaw, I think, in the design. I think that's the way to look at it. I'm delighted to say that you've remembered to have a defender in there on the bench, because this team is just all out attack. But you've got another one who had a decent song, Fabrizio Colaccini.
Yeah, great hair as well. Sadly, mine's not like that.
Yeah, I mean, he was probably another rarity in the Mike Ashley story, because he actually spent a decent bit of money on him. I think it was around about 10 million, Elliot.
I can't remember where he came from, but I remember it being an absolute rock, and he always put a shift in. Even if it was shocking, he always grafted, and I think that's all ever as a Newcastle fan most people want, is somebody that'll graft and graft and graft. No matter what the result is, if everybody puts a shift in, everybody's generally happy. Like,
okay, 2 more players to go on the bench, and your granddad will be happy.
As I say, we had an argument earlier, and
Who's your first player that your granddad would like to see in the team then?
Super Mac.
There he is. Super Mac, of course, does Thursday nights on NUFC Matters with Gibbo and me. A proper legend. You can see him at the Dog and Parrot all season, pre-match and post-match. What did your granddad say about Super Mac?
Just an absolute legend. Get him in that front three. That's what he said.
Yeah, I mean, just amazing, and still the only player to score 5 goals in an international game for England at Wembley against Cyprus. Absolutely fantastic. No surprise to see Super Mac making it into a few of the dream teams that we have done over the course of the last couple of years. Okay, your last player, going back a bit here, George Mitchell, who does Those Were the Days, would certainly approve of this one.
Jackie Milburn, I think, just for the heritage and the legend. My granddad obviously knows a lot more about him than kind of I did, a lot before my time, but I think if somebody spoke about for that long, they deserve to be in there. Like,
yeah, Ward Jackie, of course, who was the club's all-time leading scorer until Alan Shearer came on the scene. So that is the team that you've picked. And who is going to manage them, Elliot?
I nearly picked Keegan for obviously nearly winning the league, but I went with Bobby, Sir Bobby Robson. Fantastic. On the basis of when he took over, we were in absolute turmoil. And to come back and save we're from the depths of despair and have up there, do you know what I mean, pushing again and playing decent football. And just for what he done as well, for what he done in football. And he's just an absolute legend, wasn't he? I watched a documentary about him, obviously over in Barcelona and stuff like that, and he's just an absolute legend. I don't know anybody what's ever had anything bad to say about him. Like, everybody I hear, all the podcasts and stuff, Kieran Dyer, Bellamy, people like that, and even though they had run-ins with him, they always said he was a fair man. He could put an arm around your shoulder, or he could give you a good hiding for obviously not pulling your weight or whatever. He was a proper man manager, so that's why I put him in there.
Fantastic, and that's a wonderful lineup and a wonderful manager. So given John Beresford, Philip Albert, Bobby Moncur, Kieran Trippier, and then we went with a 3 and a 3. We had Gaza, Beardsley and Ginola, and then we had Shearer, Ferdinand and Andy Cole. On the bench, we had Shaka Hislop, we had Supermac, Gary Speed, Johan Cabaye, Ben Arthur, Colaccini, Jackie Milburn. Amazing to see that lineup, because it's the most attacking team that I think I've ever seen on Dream Team. And Sir Bobby Robson, of course, managing the Newcastle United 11. Now, I wouldn't be doing my job, Elliot, if I wasn't going to ask you, have you got a joke to finish off with? And people have become accustomed to these jokes on NUFC Matters. So have you got one?
Why is it so hot in the Stadium of Light?
I don't know, Elliot. Why is it so hot in the Stadium of Light?
Because all the fans have left.
Fantastic, mate. Love it. Elliot, where you off to next? What have you got up? What have you got planned?
My next tournament is the 13th of August. It's in Wigan, I think. Wigan or Leicester. A qualifier for the British Open. So I got the semis last year, so it'll be nice to have a nice run again.
Yeah, it was great to see that. Who's the hardest opponent you've had over the years?
Probably Mark Selby, to be honest. He just keeps beating us close. To be fair, most of the players in the 16 I've got a good record against. Obviously, the good record against Ronnie, 2-1 up head to head. head-to-head against Sean Murphy in front. Like, a lot of the top 16 players I beat more than they beat me. But Mark Selby and John Higgins, I just kind of crack them. They keep beating us. Beating us close, but they keep beating us. So I would say them two.
I mean, from your perspective, you know, how long do you have to practice? You practice every day? Do you take a day off? You know, you're away now for a couple of days to get a bit of practice in. Is it relentless?
Yeah, if I've got tournaments, it's generally 7 days a week, 12 till 6. So I do 6 hours a day. If I haven't got tournaments on, then I'll have the odd week off here and there, but that's few and far between, to be honest. But yeah, it's basically, I treat it like a full-time job. It's the hours have got to be put in. I think you only get out what you put in, and if you put everything in, hopefully you'll get everything out.
Obviously, you've got sponsors. Do you want to give them a shout out, Elliot?
Yeah, I've got TA Cheating. They've looked after us for a while. I practice at the North East Snooker Centre in North Shields, Queen Alexandra Road. So if anybody wants to pop in and say hello, I'll be more than willing to have a little drink with you. And trying to go with our sponsors. Bertie's Pool Club in Whitley Bay. He's looked after us for a while as well. So I cannot really thank them enough, because especially through COVID, it's been very, very tough. We've lost a lot of tournaments, and without the financial help and support, it probably wouldn't be possible. Like,
who were your heroes when you were growing up watching snooker? I mean, I remember those great days with the likes of you know, Hurricane Higgins and you know, the Bill Werbenicks of this world, and you know, Ray Reardons. Any of those names your favorite, or was it slightly later players that you got into, the likes of Steve Davis, Stephen Hendry, etc.?
Slightly after them, to be honest. I'd kind of missed the Hendry era as I was kind of coming in. Ronnie and John Higgins and Mark Williams were winning everything. So my two personal favourites were Ronnie O'Sullivan and John Higgins. I just thought they were just different gravy, and for them to still be winning at the age they're at now, hopefully bodes well for me. Plenty time left. They're still winning at nearly 50 years of age. Hopefully I can nick a few by then.
Yeah, no, fingers crossed. It is a tough sport, and you know, practice makes perfect, as you say. I've got to ask you about this opponent. I mean, Peter, the Peter the Rabbit that came in, mate. What was that all about?
My little girl came in a Peter Rabbit outfit. She loves Peter Rabbit as they go through the phases. So I says, "Give us a shot of that hat." So I eyes it on, and my missus goes, "Take a picture of that and hide online." So yeah, he had good game that day, Peter. He played well.
I think maybe you should start wearing that in the games, you know, that you play. You get a bit of notoriety for that, mate.
I'd get a good fine as well.
Sadly.
Would you? Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, mate. It's been great to have you on, and it'll be great for our viewers to finally put a name to the face. I know we did something on Instagram when we first started this off, but obviously we've migrated now to YouTube, and 49,000 followers strong. So hopefully this might get you a little bit more publicity, and if anybody wants to get along and give them some support, get them on Twitter, Elliot Slessor @Sless147. What else did you expect? And yeah, just give him a shout, because you know, he's one of our own. He's somebody who needs a bit of support, and hopefully we'll see him lifting one of those trophies very, very soon. Elliot, I'll let you get back to the hotel. You need your kit before your next day's practice, but thanks very much for coming on, mate. Take care. Perfect. And hopefully catch up with you soon.
Thanks for your time. Cheers again.
Take care.
See you later, bud. Ta-ra.